You're watching The Place with Dave Nemeth and Brooke and Brittany Graham.
I'm with Michael Caron from Utah State University Extension. You're a gardening expert, and today we are talking about something a little bit, and that is pests.
That's right.
A lot of us don't know what to do about them. All we know is that they're bugging us.
There are a lot of pests, and we're actually seeing quite a few different pests show up this time of year. They're not all insects. Some of the ones that we're seeing right now, we're seeing the good old box elder bugs are back.
They're everywhere. So,
They
Michael,
are.
I know so many people deal with those later on in the summer, but they're really starting to come out right now.
Yeah, they overwinter as adults, and they will kind of go down into these dry, warmer places down around the foundations of homes, wood piles, those kind of things, and they love to come out on a sunny day on the south side of the buildings. So they'll come out, they'll warm up, they're actually mating now and be laying more eggs, and then we'll see those big explosions in populations later on in the summer on the trees and on our buildings.
Yeah, and they're not dangerous. They're not going to bite you, right? But
That's right.
more just of an irritant.
Yeah, they're just a nuisance. They don't really do any structural damage to our homes, but they get into a lot of people's homes, and nobody likes to see those things crawling around in their kitchens and on their floors, and so they can be problems that way. They can cause problems on fruit, especially peaches and nectarines and apricots. They will feed on those as they get ripe late in the season and cause damage to those. But for the most part, they don't really cause us any landscape damage.
But we still want to get rid of them. So what do we do about that?
So
is there anything
it's
you
not
can
necessarily all that easy to get rid of them, unfortunately. They prefer female box elder trees. Their primary food source, they love the seeds. They love to feed on those seeds in the fall. So getting rid of the female trees can actually be really helpful, but that may not be practical. And so trying to just vacuum them off the home. Sometimes pesticide sprays will be effective at least deterring them from wanting to be in the home. They can be not terribly effective because these are really mobile and they'll move around really fast. And then sometimes just trying to reduce the places where they like to hide. So wood piles, piles of leaves, keep the areas around the foundations of the home clean, where they're not going to want to hide as much because there's just no good cover for them.
Okay, great tips. I didn't know that about box elder bugs. And now we've got to move on to one that is more of a rodent.
Exactly.
And I had no idea these guys were any different than mice.
So voles, or what we usually call meadow voles, is a common pest that we see in yards and gardens and orchards and things. They are kind of like mice. They're actually bigger and look a little different. And they don't actually really want to be in our homes at all. They sometimes fall in window wells accidentally, or they'll make their way into a home, but they're not really trying to be there. Their main problem is that they like to dig holes in the lawn and create these trails or these tunnels.
Oh no.
And they will use those tunnels as they spread out into their food sources, but they love to eat fruit trees, especially right at the base where the snow line is. They'll move right around the snow line, and they'll chew the bases off of the trees, and so that can kill our fruit trees and even some of our ornamentals. So in areas where they're prone to voles, you can put some of that hardware cloth, those metal screens that you can buy at the home stores, and put that around. You bury it down in the ground about 6 inches and keep it at least 6 inches away from the tree, and then they can't feed on those trees.
Then they won't kill your fruit trees.
They won't kill the fruit trees.
None of us want that. Okay, is there anything else we should do to be getting rid of those?
Just trying to keep the area around the home and the garden clean. So again, reduce hiding places. And if you do see those trails or those runs in the lawn, you can actually put mouse traps in those, and they don't even need to be baited. They'll usually just run right into them because they use those trails so rigorously. And then you'll be able to catch them that way. There are other chemicals, baits, and things that can be used, but obviously you want to follow the label and be very careful about those.
Of course. Okay, we're running out of time, so quickly, aphids. What do we do about aphids?
So we're seeing aphids right now starting to appear on fruit trees and other ornamentals. Right now, we should be looking at using a dormant oil spray or some other registered insecticide to help control those. We don't have, the ladybugs aren't out yet, and we won't be worried about hurting those, but if they're really causing problems, we want to get those preventative treatments down.
Okay, perfect. Great tips, and hopefully a lot of us will have less pests around the garden and yard this spring and summer. Michael, thank you so much. Where can people get more information from you?
So our website, garden.usu.edu, has all of these tips and a lot more.